After receiving a cancer diagnosis, I, who have always been so well behaved, decided to let loose. My handsome husband looks down on me, my indifferent boss put me down, my nasty neighbor is bullying me. I played every single one of them. It wasn't until my aloof boss, with reddened eyes, asked me, "When are you getting divorced?" "I'll never be the other woman," the younger neighbor said with a smug look. "So your husband fell asleep, and now you've come up to find me, handsome husband in a backless apron, coming home for dinner tonight." After the crash, they found my cancer diagnosis report. After crying all night, the three of them each made their own decision, and at this moment, I realized I had been misdiagnosed. 1. After receiving the cancer diagnosis, I was stunned, and didn't even hear the ding of my WeChat notification. Before I could even come to my senses, my phone started ringing. "Mr. Leong" flashed on the screen. I hit the answer button, and my boss Leong Su's voice came through. "Cold as ice, Lin Juexia, who gave you permission to take the afternoon off? You didn't even submit today's report. Come back to the office at 9 p.m. tonight and work overtime until you finish your tasks." "Mr. Leong, this afternoon I was going to." I hadn't even gotten the word hospital out before all I heard on the other end was the dead tone of a disconnected line. I hung up and made my way home in a daze. As soon as I opened the door, a courier box thudded down in front of me. The man standing before me had striking good looks and an air of refined nobility. His fingers hooked over the sheer nightgown I'd just bought, a mocking smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "A sweet and sexy strappy nightgown. You don't actually think I'd be interested in you just because you're wearing that, do you?" He stepped closer, looking down at me from above. "Even if I, Gu Qinghe, am out of fashion now, I'm still not someone a dull, uninteresting woman like you can aspire to marrying. You was nothing more than using you. You'd better know your place and stop fantasizing about me, you idiot." The harsh man before me is my husband, Gu Qinghe. No one would ever have guessed that he used to be a gentle, elegant movie star. The entertainment industry turns over so fast that, once he was past 28, he could no longer compete with those fresh, handsome new faces. He didn't want to be forced into sleeping with someone, so he quickly chose to marry me, an ordinary outsider. To put it bluntly, he was looking for a decent, gullible guy to take over, then use marriage to sell the image of a devoted husband artist. When he said he wanted to marry me, I was so happy I felt like I was walking on air, because I'm a huge fan of Gu Qinghe. Who wouldn't want to marry their dream superstar? But we've been married for 2 years, and Gu Qinghe has never shared a bed with me. Whenever he sees me, it's usually either a cold face or sarcastic remarks. I've gone from anticipation at the beginning to numbness now. I silently walked over and picked up the pajamas he had thrown on the floor. Gu Qinghe's voice sounded above my head. "Saturday night at 9, come with me to the Nanhu Hotel for a banquet. Is that the only thing you're good for? Do you understand?" I didn't say a word. I just clutched my pajamas and went back to the study. After returning to the study, I heard the pounding sound of renovation work upstairs. It was now 7 o'clock in the evening, but the other side still showed no sign of stopping. The guy upstairs is my neighbor, a rich kid. When he first moved in, he added me on WeChat and asked me a few questions. Later, he started asking me to pick up his packages for him. I figured we were neighbors, so I always helped out, but now, I'm looking at the WeChat message in my hand. Neighbor's note: "So you're the one who complained to management about me, huh? One look and I can tell you're just some broke tenant. If you can't stand it, then get lost, you lousy broke loser, broke loser, broke loser. Hurry up and get lost." 2. Yes, no matter what anyone says about me, I'm a man of few words. I'm always quiet and enduring, never hysterical, and I never voice my thoughts or grievances. I've grown used to waiting quietly. I hope that by being well behaved, I can earn even a little recognition and kindness. Looking back, ever since I graduated from college and joined the company, I've always worked incredibly hard. I hardly ever took time off. I worked 5 days a week, and 4 of those days I was putting in overtime. I gave the company my all, but my boss, Leong Su, was still cold and heartless. I was also warm and always willing to help my neighbors. More than once, the wealthy young man upstairs was downstairs at the entrance with his dog and couldn't free a hand to press the elevator button, and I always helped without a second thought. Not to mention doing him other little favors like picking up his packages and taking out the trash. Yet all I got in return was vicious abuse, with him bossing me around like I was there to serve him. As for Gu Qinghe, I cherished him like the apple of my eye, terrified he might suffer even the slightest grievance. When he was in a bad mood, I soothed him gently. When he ran into setbacks at work, I stayed by his side all night long. All I got in return was, "Don't get any ideas about me, you idiot." I sat at my desk, Staring at the diagnosis report in front of me, I was holding that black nightgown with lace trim in my hand, crumpled and wrinkled, just like my life, which had never been smoothed out. At that moment, it felt like a thread inside me snapped with a soft click and broke. A searing surge of emotion suddenly flared up from deep within my chest. Since my life is already on a countdown, then why shouldn't I just let go and be myself? I'm going to live exactly the way I want to. I wanted to bring down everyone who had ever looked down on me or belittled me. The fire in my heart burned hotter and hotter as I gripped my pajamas and walked out. When Gu Qinghe saw me come out of the study, he raised an eyebrow, his voice dripping with sarcasm. So you finally crawled out of your little turtle shell. He sat on the sofa, his long legs crossed in a posture of lazy elegance. I tossed the pajamas at his face with a slap, my voice cold. Put these on, and amuse me. I looked him straight in the eye and said, with deliberate emphasis on each word, Lin Juexia, have you lost your mind? He removed the pajamas covering his face, and his normally gentle, elegant expression instantly darkened. You can refuse, but at 9 o'clock on Saturday night, you won't find me at the South Lake Hotel. You really need a civilian wife like me to be your human shield, don't you? I shrugged, my tone indifferent. The gentle, understanding soul from the movie screen now resembled a venomous snake. His gaze was heavy, and he clutched the nightgown tightly in his hand. Lin Juexia, are you threatening me? All I'm asking for is a normal married life. Of course, you can refuse. I'll sign the divorce papers promptly if you do. Gu Qinghe won't divorce me. He's been cultivating this devoted husband persona for public consumption. He's even started taking on endorsements for home goods now. My stance is firm and justified. I'm about to die, so let me enjoy my beautiful wife one last time. Are you out of your mind? No. 3. Gu Qinghe was a shrewd man. He sized up the pros and cons in just 3 seconds. Maybe it's because I always doted on him and took care of him that he thought I was hopelessly in love with him, so he wouldn't want to burn bridges with me. Clutching his pajamas, he suddenly broke into a gentle smile, fleeting as a night blooming serious. So, this is what you've been wanting all along. Gu Qinghe stood up, casually tossing his pajamas onto the sofa. As he walked over to me, he gently stroked my cheek with his slender, fair fingers. If you want it, we can go to the bedroom right now, he whispered softly, his warm breath brushing against my ear. Spending a night to make me docile and obedient again seemed like a worthwhile trade. Gu Qinghe was trying to distract me. I caught his hand and pointed at the pajamas. I told you, put that on, amuse me. The pajamas were my size, but he could fit into them. He had a slender build with a narrow waist. Once on, they perfectly revealed his pale, pert backside. I would be very pleased. Gu Qinghe's face darkened. His words practically hissed through clenched teeth. You, don't push it. Then let's get a divorce. My kink is seeing you wear clothes like that. I threw my hands up in a gesture of utter defeat. He looked at my resolute expression that left no room for discussion. Gu Qinghe's smile froze completely. For the first time, his sweet talking and coaxing had no effect on me. I didn't even bother discussing it with him. I only gave him a choice, yes or no. Once he realized I wasn't an easy mark, he couldn't manipulate me anymore. Gu Qinghe gritted his teeth and pulled off his own shirt. I thoughtfully drew the curtains shut. Gu Qinghe awkwardly put on the black camisole. Her fair shoulders trembled slightly, the well-defined curve of his biceps, honed from years of training, clearly visible. His pectoral muscles also appeared full and pronounced beneath the thin fabric of his sleepwear. A glimpse of what lay beneath the skirt was just barely visible. I was very pleased. Next time, you could try a maid outfit, Egyptian style, and so on. His face was as rosy as a peach, a flush spreading across his fair, handsome features. Narrow, phoenix-like eyes glanced at me. Seeing my pleased expression, his mood seemed to brighten a little. Her gorgeous lips curled upward slightly, yet she still spat out venomous words. That's enough. How can you be so? The word he meant to say was left unspoken, because I had already leaned in and sealed his lips with mine. For I rose from bed, fully satisfied. Though he's a has-been celebrity, he's got great customer service skills. I looked at my phone and it was already 9 o'clock, time to head to work. My phone was also flooded with over a dozen WeChat messages from my boss. All of them were demanding to know where I was last night. I have to say, Liangsu can be a bit of a bore sometimes. Just because you don't have a nightlife doesn't mean the rest of us don't. I looked over at Gu Qinghe, who was awake but still pretending to be asleep. I gently kissed his forehead. I love you. Mornings after waking up are when men feel most emotionally vulnerable. At that moment, he was completely defenseless. Kissing his forehead will make him feel cherished. There's no way I'm making him breakfast. I'm practically dead. I'm only here to enjoy, not to give. Thanks. I had just stepped out of my apartment and entered the elevator, then I saw that young master from upstairs. He stood in the elevator holding a teddy dog. He wore a silk robe, its sleeves casually pushed up to reveal an expensive wristwatch, chestnut curls, pale eyes, and an air of haughty confidence. Looks pretty similar to that evil fleece he's got in his hand. So the evil fleece is actually your true martial soul, huh? After I stepped into the elevator, he gave me a lazy glance and then spoke arrogantly while holding his little dog. Some people are truly sinister, outwardly appearing honest and simple, but secretly calling 1 2 3 4 5 to report others. If it were any other time, I'd just let it slide and pretend I hadn't heard it, but I'm not going to put up with it anymore. I turned to look at my spiteful neighbor, and realized that when I'd picked up his packages for him, he'd barely bothered to say thanks. Ever since I reported him for renovating during quiet hours, he's been making vicious remarks. He actually has plenty of other annoying traits, too. For example, walking his poodle without a leash. He plays video games loudly at night, constantly cursing and complaining. I've been putting up with him all this time, especially since I paid for half of this luxury apartment. My husband, Gu Chinghe, owns several properties on the side but has never told me about them. It was just last night that we finally had normal physical contact as a married couple. The sensation of something brushing against my leg snapped me out of my thoughts. I looked down, and that evil fleece was rubbing against my feet, circling around me and constantly trying to tug at my pant leg. And it was obvious the fleece's owner had done it on purpose. He took off the collar and let the puppy run free. He arched a brow and curled his lips into a taunting smile, a look of pure provocation. Please keep your dog on a leash when you're walking it, I said in a low voice. This is my son. Do you go home and hold your own son's hand? He said viciously. Just you wait. One day, I'll have you on a leash, begging to call me mommy. My gaze fell on the expensive leash, flung to the ground, its metal clasp gleaming with a cold, hard light. I crouched down and picked up the clasp from the floor. I gripped the leash, twisting my wrist so the cord coiled tightly around it. With a sudden tug, a burst of force pulled him right toward me. In an instant, the distance between us was just a breath away. When their eyes met, he was a little at a loss. A hint of surprise flickered in those light-colored eyes. I let out a faint smile, my voice dropping to a low tone. So, may I ask, does this little brother need me to hold his hand? 5. My voice is hoarse. The young master opened his mouth, as if about to say something even more unpleasant. At this moment, we were very close, and the taut rope, like a red thread, tied us together. I looked at the young master's handsome, delicate face. I suddenly rose onto my tiptoes and kissed his Adam's apple. Up close, he's even more handsome. His pupils contracted, and he instinctively licked his lips. I released the clasp in my hand and fastened it around his arm. Goodbye, I have to get to work. Just then, the elevator doors opened at the right moment. I brushed my long hair into place and stepped out of the elevator lobby. As soon as I got in the car, I heard the WeChat notification chime. He opened it to take a look. Vicious neighbor, what do you mean I'm handsome? What do you mean by kissing me again? You want to bait me? Funny. Do you take me for a fool? I'm not going to pay you any mind. Hey, what's your name? My name is Songzae. Did you see that? My name is Songzae. Why aren't you replying? I turn off the screen and stop replying to messages. Young boys like to be recognized and tend to be a bit vain. As soon as I acknowledge him, he feels like he's saved face and secretly feels pretty pleased, but after giving praise, cool things off for a bit and give the other person some time to overthink. I didn't reply to him until noon. Me, sorry, it's not that I didn't want to reply, I've just been swamped with work all this time. Laptop plus coffee photo. Me, your puppy is really cute, too. In just 1 second, my phone went ding 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 several times. This little rich kid does nothing all day but play on his phone, never even going out for a stroll to boost consumer spending. The vicious neighbor, well, I guess so. It can be pretty disobedient sometimes too. Blah blah. Me, you're cute too. Happy face. I betrayed my conscience just to sleep with my little brother. I'd always thought this person was kind of an idiot, like the spoiled little idiot type coddled by their parents, as if their family had never heard of better breeding. He thinks he's God's chosen one, wearing a smug, arrogant expression. But in reality his entire level of understanding comes from short Douyin videos. But then again, this baby face is just adorable. After sending that message, I lowered my head and kept typing away at the code. The other person replied almost immediately, I'm okay, I guess. What's so cute about it? Why aren't you replying? Are you still working? You can stop the renovation for tonight. You poor souls have worked hard all day. Go home and get some rest. I still haven't replied to his message. It's Not that I don't want to reply right now, but now I'm about to go at it again. 6. Here's today's report, sweetheart. Thanks for all your hard work. My colleague Lily is asking me to do her work again. This report isn't even my responsibility, but she's talking as if it's already been assigned to me. I'm not even her subordinate, that's right, because I'm usually too nice and have a hard time saying no. This colleague always comes to me for help. She always has a laundry list of excuses, like having to pick up her kids after work or needing to go to a doctor's appointment. The moment I show any sign of refusal, her face instantly darkens, and she starts slamming things around at her desk. As a newcomer to the workforce, I always tried to avoid making a scene, but now, I just want to lose it. Honey, is this the task Mr. Leon assigned to me? I was off yesterday, so I have no idea how to do it. Maybe I should go ask him. I gave Lily a friendly smile. No, it's just that I really can't finish this work on my own. Could you do me a favor and help me out this once? She said it as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I've helped her so many times that I've spoiled her. Oh, honey, so you can't finish it after all. That's just too bad. I kept smiling. Yeah, go ahead and do the report, and remember to send it to my email when you're done. Lily very naturally placed the file in her hand on my desk and, with a sway of her hips, started to leave. I'll be your daddy, I said in a low voice, smiling. What did you say? She turned to look at me as if she hadn't heard clearly. Lily was quite surprised, as I used to be the most honest and straightforward person in the company. Baby, I'm saying. I narrowed my eyes, raising my voice. I'll be your dad, sweetheart. If you can't seem to finish your work, is it because you're just not cut out for it? I'm going to lose my temper right away. It turns out I was just too easygoing, so she kept taking advantage of me. That was a bit too harsh, don't you think? If you don't want to do it, just say so. There's no need to attack someone. Lily's face turned bright red in an instant, under the stunned gaze of everyone. I climbed right onto the desk. My move left all my colleagues in shock. After all, nobody just climbs onto their workstation desk. Standing on the desk, I looked down at Lily, who was also utterly dumbfounded. Since I joined this company, you've had me make 25 PowerPoint presentations for you, 13 reports, and made me work overtime for you 25 times. You know, you really have no shame. I cupped my hands around my mouth like a megaphone and announced loudly to my colleagues around me, everyone, be careful. Lily loves to dump her work on others. Watch out when she comes near you. If you're happy to be her doormat, then don't mind me. I stood on the desk, looking down on everyone. It suddenly hit me that I've been way too lenient with her in the past, trying to please her just won't get you anything. A few co-workers who've also been taken advantage of by Lily couldn't help but snicker, then quickly covered their mouths. Lily was shaking with rage, pointing at me. Get down here right now. What kind of behavior is this? She reached for me, but I sidestepped lightly, nearly causing her to stumble. I stood on the table with my hands on my hips, continuing to look down at her. Just then, the office door swung open. A slender figure stood in the doorway. He wore silver rimmed glasses, had a sharp jawline, and slightly elongated eyes, giving him a detached, aloof demeanor. Lin Juexia. Liang Su's voice wasn't loud, but it silenced the entire office in an instant. What are you doing? I turned to look at him and suddenly found myself staring right into his dark, fathomless eyes. 7. I got dragged to Liang Su's office. Across from him, Liang Su sat tall behind a spacious desk. The impeccably tailored charcoal gray suit accentuated his lean, athletic frame. His gaze was heavy, fixed on me as I sat across from him. Walking into his office used to make me stand at attention like an elementary school kid. Now I was practically slumped in a leather chair opposite him, all relaxed and casual. Just fire me already. I'll take the severance package. What were you just doing? He spoke, his voice as steady and composed as ever. I immediately stood up and complained to Liang Su. Lily is always asking me to do her work for her. If I refuse, she throws a tantrum, slamming things around and ruining the office atmosphere. It's not just me she affects, and she's always getting other people to do her tasks too. Liang Su's expression remained completely unreadable, his voice cool and detached. All right, I understand. Her situation has indeed negatively impacted team efficiency and the company environment, which is detrimental to our work. I will follow the proper procedures to terminate her employment and provide the corresponding compensation. He's being this reasonable. I immediately turned into a treacherous courtier. snitching on all my annoying coworkers like I always wanted to. And then there's Wang Dong, the office clown. If you ever come into the office and see him sitting at the printer, you'd think he's working, but he's actually just printing 50 blank sheets of paper. And then there's Lu Shi, never around when there's work to be done, but always the first to take credit. Liang Su listened quietly, his eyes calm and undisturbed. Oh, by the way, Lu Shi also said there's something going on between us. I continued my tattling. Liang Su's hand, which was flipping through the documents, faltered for a moment, his eyelashes lowered slightly, veiling the unease in his dark eyes. I'll remind her. That's good, I said, settling into my seat with a satisfied and relaxed posture. Now that we've talked about her, let's talk about you. Liang Su suddenly changed the subject. Why weren't you here for overtime yesterday? This project is critical. I told you, didn't I? If this project succeeds, you'll be eligible for company shares. His voice was icy, his dark eyes behind the lenses fixed intently on me. Christ, I was so angry I could only laugh. I'm barely hanging on, and you're still dishing out empty promises. I shot up from my seat and slammed both hands down on his desk with a loud slap. My body leaned forward slightly from the force, across the wide expanse of the desk. My face suddenly closed in on his. My gaze locked onto his dark eyes without flinching. Liang Su clearly hadn't anticipated my sudden move. My approach shattered the safe distance he was used to, and I could smell the scent of his Hermes Terra de Hermes. Liang Su's Adam's apple bobbed almost imperceptibly, yet his eyes held a deep, somber darkness, calmly watching as I drew near. I moved closer to him. Liang Su pursed his lips slightly, as if waiting for something. I went straight for the jugular. Ever since I started this job, I've been working overtime 4 out of 5 days a week, and when I asked for my wedding leave, you only approved a single day. You're a workaholic, a perpetual motion machine. You never go home after work, so the rest of us feel too awkward to leave early. Are you scared to go home alone or something? You're still talking to me about stock options. I took time off to go to the hospital. I'm so exhausted I feel like I'm about to drop dead. Why don't you just burn those shares as an offering for me when the time comes? Listen up, Liang Su, starting today, I'll take leave whenever I want and leave work when it's time to go. Stop meddling in my business. I said it all in one breath and braced myself for Liang Su's fury. If it comes to it, I'll just throw down with him. I'm gonna grab him by the collar and slap him a few times. Then I kicked him right in the crotch, and he doubled over, clutching himself and hopping around in pain. But the cold rebuke he had anticipated never came. An eerie silence fell over the office. Liang Su fell silent for a few seconds, his voice softening. Did you take leave to go to the hospital? He didn't mention any of the defiant things I'd said earlier, only picking up on the key detail about my hospital visit. His previously cold tones seemed to fade, like the first thaw of an iceberg, revealing a hint of tenderness that was almost imperceptible. What's the diagnosis? Is it serious? You can apply for sick leave with full pay. I know some department heads with real clout. I could pull some strings for you. After all, your health is the foundation for everything else. Liang Su lowered his gaze and said softly. I was all geared up for a fight, but he just wouldn't take the bait. My gaze drifted to his fingertips, unconsciously tapping against the desktop. Long and pale, with prominent knuckles, a silver ring adorned his index finger, its crest said to be his family's. After catching my gaze, the knuckles of his fingers twitched almost imperceptibly. I'll take sick leave, I said. Okay, and I still expect my performance bonus. Fine. Is he really that easy to deal with? I'm still racking my brains trying to come up with some requests. Liang Su's voice sounded, still carrying that faint chill, yet it was somewhat hoarse. The company will send someone to visit you. You can send me a list of the comfort items you'd like, along with your home address, on WeChat. That's fantastic. I'm going to make a wish now. I opened my shopping cart and started listing the care packages I wanted. After I left the office, Lily was still taking a smug, schadenfreude-filled pleasure in it. How was it? Your boss chewed you out, didn't he? Serves you right. I squinted and said, the boss said the company's decided to compensate me with the latest Apple iPhone 17 Pro Max, 512 GB. Lily, 8. I got off work early today. I didn't want to go home and face Guqinghe, so I drove to an internet cafe instead. The truth is, I've always been someone who really enjoys gaming. It's just that, because of the crushing workload, I had buried that part of me deep down. I want to enjoy gaming to my heart's content before I die. My phone received a WeChat message from Guqinghe. Guqinghe, if I remember right, you get off work at 6, don't you? Why aren't you home yet? Me, boss is working overtime. Guqinghe, alright, then I'll go do the rounds first. Then I scrolled further down in the work chat and saw a message from my neighbor, Sanze, malicious neighbor. Hey, can you grab my package for me? Could you help me pick up a package? Thanks. The tone has actually become quite obedient. I thought about it, and it's still pretty early today, might as well go tease the puppy for a bit. I drove home and picked up a package for Songzae on the way. Songzae lives right upstairs from me. I took the elevator straight up to his floor. The moment I knocked on the door, I heard a flurry of hurried footsteps inside, in a deliberately boyish voice. Who is it? The door opened, and the boy standing in the doorway was obviously dressed with great care. His flaxen curls and bangs looked like they had been run through over and over, deliberately styled to create an effortlessly relaxed vibe. He wasn't even wearing loungewear anymore, but a brightly colored streetwear brand tee. After all, not everyone wears leather at home, with all kinds of jangly metal bits hanging off it and the like. When Songzae saw it was me, his eyes lit up, but before long he put on that same haughty look again. Just set it on the cabinet. He lifted his chin slightly and pointed at the cabinet. He looked completely matter-of-fact. I set the package on the cabinet and turned to leave. I counted silently in my head. 1. Before I could even take my first step, a warm hand caught my wrist. The moment I turned around, Songzae grabbed me. Hey, why haven't you been replying to my messages all day? I stopped in my tracks and turned around. A hint of helplessness surfaced on my face at just the right moment. Yes, I was really swamped at work today. My boss had actually wanted me to work overtime. I let out a sigh, then gave a gentle, slightly shy smile. But I came right back to help you pick up your package as soon as I saw your message. My tone carried a subtle implication that I turned down something important for your sake. I never said you had to help me, Songzae said, his gaze darting away, his tone still cold and hard. Yeah. My voice softened, like I was coaxing a child. It's just that I can't bring myself to refuse any request you make. Songzae was clearly taken aback for a moment, his tone turning a little awkward. So the reason you've been picking up my packages for me all this time was because I spread my hands slightly, taking on an open, honest posture. Exactly what you're thinking. I'm not sure what exactly you want, but I'll go along with you for now. Your lips are so soft and full, they look really kissable. Songzae's brain seemed to complete a logical loop in an instant. First came the dawning realization of I knew it, then he quickly put his defenses back up, even with a hint of smugness. So you've had a crush on me all along. Songzae lifted his chin even higher. It was just that the tips of his ears were a little red. Well, then who told you to like me without saying it straight out? He actually started accusing me with complete confidence, as if I had committed some unforgivable mistake. You should have told me sooner, shouldn't you? As he spoke, he gave me another dismissive once-over from head to toe and said, TSK, do you even know how to chase a guy? Winning a man over isn't something you can do just by helping him with a few little favors. The little evil dog was back, I said slowly. I don't, after all. You're the first person I've ever liked. You're already 26, 4 years older than me, and you're saying I'm the first person you've ever liked. You're not lying to me, are you? Songzae gave me a suspicious once-over. A plain commuter shirt, hair tied up, no makeup, round eyes with slightly downturned corners. She gave off the impression, at a glance, of being gentle and down-to-earth. As you can see, I'm exactly the kind of programmer people talk about online. I worked hard all through school, and after I started working, I was stuck pulling overtime for years. I said slowly, talking to you took all the courage I had. After I said it all in one breath, I wore a relieved expression, as if to say, at last, the secret's out. Yes, that's right, I'm an honest, mild-mannered, and introverted person. How could an honest person ever lie? 9. So, you're a bookworm. How come you were so bold when you kissed me during the day? Songzae let out a mocking snort, as if he'd caught me red-handed. He lifted his chin a little, looking rather smug. Stop it already. I was caught up in the moment too during the day. I raised my hands in surrender, my cheeks burning. I was still standing at the doorway then, with the wind blowing in from outside, a bit chilly. My son's awake, Songzae said, clearly trying to change the subject. Didn't you say it was cute? Want to take a look? Your son isn't awake at all. Okay, what are you standing there for? Songzae pressed his lips together and reached back to shut the door behind me with a click. He trotted over to the sofa and turned his dog on. I sat on the sofa, quietly watching him and the dog put on their touching father and son act. Every now and then he'd lift the dog up, and every now and then he'd rest his chin on the dog's head. After Song Zae put on his little performance and saw that I still had no reaction, his peach blossom eyes widened. I hurriedly added, "You're so caring. I've always thought guys who like little animals are great, because they're all so patient and kind." That's complete nonsense. He's clearly the type where an evil personality takes the lead. Bro, can you stop showing me your dog already? We're all adults here. Can we please get to the point? Song Zae put the puppy into my arms, lifted his chin, and said, "Pet its chin, it really likes that." I obediently picked up the puppy. Suddenly, I let out a soft little gasp. Song Zae was immediately drawn to me and asked in a low voice what was wrong. I frowned slightly and lowered my voice as if it were hard to say. "It feels like I've opened up in the back." I bit my lip and looked up, gazing at Song Zae's eyes with a gentle warmth. Her voice was as soft as ripples on the surface of water. "Could you help me? I can't reach it." Before Song Zae could react, I turned my back to him and carefully lifted the back of my clothes. The fair skin on her lower back instantly caught his eye. I couldn't see Song Zae's expression. After a 2-second pause, there was still no movement behind me. I turned back and saw Song Zae sitting dumbly on the sofa. It was as if his brain had frozen. A rosy red flush spread rapidly from his cheeks all the way down to his neck. He was babbling incoherently. What are you doing?" I've never what?" I leaned closer and pulled his fluffy head into my arms. "Let go of me. I'm telling you, I'm not that kind of man." He was wriggling around in my arms like a little puppy. That fluffy little head kept bobbing back and forth. I couldn't be bothered to listen to him. He talks like someone whose views have long been shaped by Tiaba and Douyin. When a man starts talking, heaven laughs, but he did hit my ex-piece too. I just like guys who are completely inexperienced. I reached out and gently patted him on the back. His voice was so soft it seemed to drip with tenderness. "Be good." Then I lowered my head and clamped a hand around his chin. He obediently lifted his head. His breath brushed against my cheek. He tipped his head back slightly, making it easier for me to kiss him. I suddenly stopped, with a bewildered look from being kissed so suddenly. He was abruptly shoved away with force. He was pushed back and ended up sitting on the carpet, his eyes still hazy from the kiss. Without hesitation, I straddled him and looked down at him from above. He lay back on the soft carpet. His light brown hair was tousled, and his eyes were damp, like a tamed puppy caught off guard. I reached out with both hands, my fingertips sinking into his curls. "Leave it to me, you'll enjoy it. Don't be afraid, don't cry." 10. A college guy can be pretty intense and fiery. As I absent-mindedly patted Song Zae's head, exhausted, he was like a puppy blissfully getting its fur smoothed down, his warm cheek unconsciously nuzzling against my neck. The phone suddenly rang. Song Zae's head shot up alertly, like a puppy that's just spotted a stranger. "Who is it?" "Our boss." "Don't talk." I pressed my index finger to his lips and answered the call. Liang Su's voice came through the phone, cultured and cool. "Lin Juexia, I'm here on behalf of the company to check on you. I'm standing right outside your door." I was instantly wide awake. Wait, since when did our company become so considerate? My mind raced as I instinctively made up an excuse. "I'm going down to take out the trash. I'll be right back." I hung up the phone right after I finished speaking. Lifting his head, Song Zae's fluffy-haired head leaned in again. He wrapped his arm around my waist and grumbled, "You're not allowed to leave. You're staying with me tonight. Our boss is coming. Surely you don't want me to lose my job, do you?" I pried his hand open with all my strength. Dad's grip was so tight, he didn't seem to feel the pain. "So what if I don't have a job?" "I'll take care of you. My family's rich," he snorted, his tone dripping with a matter-of-fact arrogance. I couldn't be bothered to listen to his nonsense, so I rolled out of bed and found the hair tie I'd just used lying on the sheets. She deftly gathered her loose hair, holding it in place with her teeth before tying it into a ponytail. Songza watched my movements, and for some reason, his face flushed bright red again, but he still boasted, "How much does your company pay you a month? I'll double it." "No, triple it. Just stay with me." I turned my head and held up a finger to my lips, signaling him to be quiet. My voice was still hoarse from satisfaction. "Sweetheart, I think we have a normal relationship. Don't you agree, dude? It's not that I'm not interested in your money, but I had written the latest smartphone on my wish list. Maybe Liang Su would actually get it for me. I've decided to prioritize immediate gains for now." The phrase romantic relationship made Song Zae's cheeks flush bright red in an instant. All his previous bravado was extinguished in a flash. As if at a complete loss for how to respond, he grabbed the quilt with both hands and yanked it over his head, burying himself completely. From within the lumpy, swollen quilt came his muffled voice. "So, after he's done with the visit, will you be able to come back? I didn't answer, quickly putting my clothes on to keep up the lie. I deliberately took the stairs, first going down one floor from my own. Then, I took the elevator back up to my floor. The elevator door slid open, revealing Liang-su standing at my doorstep. He was checking his watch, his posture tall and imposing. With an air of cool detachment, he was holding two exquisitely wrapped gift bags. I hurried over with quick, small steps. Mr. Liang, you really shouldn't have come all this way yourself. I'm so sorry for the trouble. As I approached, his deep, cool eyes, framed by silver-rimmed glasses, fixed intently on me. He gave me a fleeting, unreadable glance, his tone carrying a distinct chill. You're dressed up just to take out the trash. Damn, this guy is way too perceptive. I went to Songzae's place straight after work, so I didn't have time to change. I chuckled and said, I just got home and haven't changed yet. Liang-su gave a low hum, his gaze briefly sweeping across my neck before he looked away. I quickly opened the door and stepped aside to let Liang-su in. Liang-su strode into the living room with measured steps and placed the gift bag in his hand on the coffee table. His voice returned to its usual gentle tone. It's a small token from the company, to wish you a speedy recovery. This is a shopping card for the mall near the office, with a limit of 200,000. It's from my personal account, so please don't feel any obligation. He paused, his gaze settling on me. You've been diligent and dedicated since the day you joined. I've seen all your hard work. The company truly needs talent like you. So I hope you recover quickly and return to your post soon. 200,000, Liang-su, you're my god, I thought to myself. Even though Liang-su is an inhuman slave driver who always makes me work overtime, he's never shortchanged me when it comes to compensation. I quickly lowered my head, my voice filled with gratitude. Thank you, Mr. Liang, I'm truly so grateful for your and the company's concern. Just as I bent my head, pretending to carefully inspect the gift bag to see what else had been tucked inside, Liang-su, standing across from him, suddenly spoke out of nowhere. Do you have a dog? My alarm bells went off immediately. Suddenly, Liang-su stood up, and in the moment I lowered my head, he swiftly plucked something from the back of my neck with his fingertips. My body went rigid. I looked up at him, my heart pounding, but his expression remained unchanged. Whatever he had taken seemed to have been discarded, and I couldn't discern a thing. He then offered a few more formulaic words of concern, like telling me to get some rest. Feeling somewhat nervous, I replied to him with restraint. Throughout the entire conversation, Liang-su's tone revealed no discernible emotion. Just then, the sound of a fingerprint unlocking echoed. We both looked up at the same time. It was Gu Qinghe who had come home. Liang-su was the first to stand up, his gaze flicking swiftly over Gu Qing's jet-black short hair. He then stepped forward of his own accord, extended his hand, his voice cool and polite. Hello, you must be Lin Juexiao's partner. I'm her supervisor, Liang-su. I heard she's been unwell and came on behalf of the company to offer my regards. Sick? Gu Qinghe arched a brow, his phoenix eyes turning to me, the unspoken question being how come I didn't know about this. I quickly chimed in, trying to gloss it over. I went to the hospital the day before yesterday, just feeling a bit under the weather. Liang-su gave a slight nod and said to us, Lin Juexia is a dedicated and meticulous employee, and a truly outstanding member of our company. The care package has been delivered, so I won't take up any more of your rest time. I'll walk you out, I said quickly. Hurry up and go. Gu Qinghe is already starting to scowl. 11. Liang-su's car was parked in the underground garage. The light in the underground garage was dim and murky. A cool evening breeze drifted in from the entrance ramp. I mechanically repeated my words of gratitude. Thank you, boss, for coming to see me today, and for your generosity. Liang-su walked beside me, his steps calm and composed. The crisp, rhythmic tap of dress shoes on the ground stood out starkly in the silence of the underground. He remained silent throughout, as if the air itself had frozen. As he walked up to his Rolls-Royce, the headlights flickered on, like eyes suddenly flashing in the darkness. Liang-su stopped and turned around, the harsh glare of headlights at his back. I was enveloped in his shadow. Who's there? He spoke abruptly, without any preamble. I was caught off guard for a moment. Liang-su looked directly at me, his gaze calm and unreadable. Light brown, slightly wavy hair, probably not very old. Usually, someone more mature or in a business setting wouldn't choose such a bold hair color. He paused, and the look behind his glasses was as cold as iron prison bars. You were with this person after work, and this person is not your husband, Gu Qinghe. He spoke without a trace of accusation or the smug delight of having uncovered someone else's private business. He was simply stating it, as if it were something entirely ordinary. My private life really isn't any of your business, is it? I said, crossing my arms and arching a brow. So what if I know? I don't care. Liang-su lowered his head to look at me. Behind his glasses, his eyelashes trembled slightly, as if a decision had been made in that fleeting moment. You and your partner aren't getting along, so you had an affair, is that it? I pressed my lips tightly together. I studied his expression, trying to discern his purpose for exposing all this, but his face was too placid. He was like a backdrop, a mere narrator. You shouldn't be doing this, Liang-su declared. Men who are too young are often not steady in character and lack a sense of responsibility. You earn a good salary, Lin Juexia. Be careful not to get scammed. That's not really something a boss should be worrying about, is it? I'm just your subordinate, I said sarcastically. I'm only assessing the potential risks that could affect the stability of the company's key employees. Liang-su's expression didn't change. I reached over and opened the driver's side door for him, putting on a polished customer service smile. Risk averted. You should get going, boss. The kind who cares about his subordinates. But Liang-su didn't get in. His gaze fell on the collar of my shirt. I touched it, only to realize the top button had come undone at some point. He suddenly reached out and, with unhurried precision, fastened the button for me. His fingers were long and slender, with distinct knuckles, the ring on. His finger brushed against my skin, chillingly cold. Are you serious? He asked in a low voice, yet mingled with the sound of wind in the garage. It made me feel an unexpected tenderness. Or are you just messing around? I was a little surprised. After all, our relationship had always been that of boss and subordinate. More than once, I even wished he were in heaven, but as I looked at his long, slender fingers, I suddenly thought they'd be really nice for pleasing me. I lifted my eyes and asked, back on purpose, what do you think, if I'm being serious? He said, standing in front of me, tall and composed. I suggest you carefully assess the other person's character and intentions. I still stand by my view. A man who is too young is not reliable. He was silent for a moment, then suddenly bent down and placed a hand on the car behind me, trapping me in between. I could catch the cool, woody scent of his cologne. He looked at me and, in the calmest tone, said something that shocked me the most. If it's just for fun, then why? His gaze behind his glasses felt tangible, pinning me in place. Why can't I? 12. I said nothing and shoved him back against the car. His entire back slammed hard into the car, yet there was not a trace of emotion in his eyes. I raised my hand, took off his glasses, and leaned down to look straight into his pitch-black eyes. Are you willing? I've been waiting a long time, he said in a low voice. I rose onto my tiptoes and leaned down to kiss him. The kiss was full of aggression, almost biting, possessive, with not a trace of tenderness. You always make me work overtime. Go to hell, go to hell, go to hell. I tasted a hint of blood. I'd gone a little too far, but there wasn't the slightest flicker in his eyes. It was a brief kiss. I noticed his beautifully shaped thin lips were slightly swollen, with a bit of blood at the corner of his mouth. I'd bitten him until he broke skin, but he didn't get angry. He just put his glasses back on and looked at me in silence. Are you trying to get a thrill? I asked him. If you want a thrill, then go all the way. He gave me a sly, wicked smile at Liang-su's words. A flicker of surprise suddenly crossed his calm eyes. Then he lowered his head and let out a relieved little laugh, but his voice sounded a little tired and honest. I've always had a soft spot for you, perhaps something a little deeper than that, but everything I know tells me your marriage is happy. As he said the word happiness, a faint, almost bitter self-mockery tugged at the corners of his mouth. My sense of morality and reason won't allow me to indulge in fantasies, much less disturb anyone. All I can do is restrain myself. Then your moral compass is really hard to judge, considering you're confessing to someone else's wife right now. Liang-su closed his eyes, then slowly opened them again. His gaze flicked to my hand. Ever since I found out I was ill, I'd taken off the ring I used to wear, but lately, everything about you has been telling me that your marriage isn't as stable and happy as I imagined. In business, I find my opponent's weaknesses and exploit them, so I think now is an opportunity one shouldn't miss. He licked his lips, his eyes like a lake stirred with ripples, carrying a barely perceptible edge of aggression. I'm not as stiff and rational as you think. Liang-su lowered his head and gently kissed the back of my hand. His voice was gentle, with a hint of determination. Lin Juexia, I'm going in. I heard spit on the back of your hand really stinks. I quickly wiped my hands on his bespoke suit. If you're coming on stage, then come on. What's the rush? You'll have your turn tomorrow. We just got a puppy today. Not really. People like us just can't handle something this extreme. I glanced at him and said quietly, Gu Qinghe and I are indeed in a marriage of convenience. When marriage is just for show, the couple's life won't be just for show. See you tomorrow. I never thought it had always been. The boss feeding me empty promises. Now it's my turn to do the same to him. Liang Su seemed to anticipate many of my responses. After he finished speaking, he adjusted his demeanor and returned to his calm, composed self, as if confessing to a married woman were such a trivial thing. He straightened his tie, his voice low and unreadable. Okay, see you tomorrow then. I turned to leave, and after I'd taken a few steps, his steady yet unmistakably uncompromising voice rang out behind me, Lin Juexia. He paused. Cut off those unnecessary, redundant ties around you, especially the one who's still too young and too unsettled, 13 anyway. Once I've messed with all of you, I'm planning to travel abroad. I've decided to pull a trisolarin on you. I flat out refused to answer. Hee. When I got home, Gu Qinghe was lounging on the sofa, lazily looking through the gift Liang Su had sent over. The moment he saw me walk in, his appraising gaze fell on me. What took you so long? He asked, sounding like he was interrogating me. I took off my coat and brushed it off casually, kissing up to the boss. How could I possibly have him pleased in such a short time? Ever since that intimate moment last time, Gu Qinghe's attitude had softened a lot. He no longer had a barbed remark for every sentence like before. Instead, he would occasionally drop hints of trying to mend their relationship. He fell silent for a moment, and when he spoke again, his voice had softened a little. I heard from your boss that you're sick. What's wrong? Nothing, I said briefly. The polished, customer service smile on Gu Qinghe's face froze. He took a deep breath and forcibly held back the rise in his voice. Lin Juexia, I admit I haven't been attentive enough to you before. He paused, as if reciting a line he wasn't familiar with. But now, I hope that at least as husband and wife, we can get along peacefully. I let out a sneer, turned around, and arched a brow at him, my eyes full of unabashed mockery. We only slept together once. Don't tell me that's left you dazed. Weren't you ignoring me and acting all superior before, and now you're actually worrying about my body? What, want more? I looked him up and down, a wicked curve tugging at the corner of my mouth. Sure, then put on that school uniform you wore for that drama shoot last year and let me see it. I'd left Gu Qinghe speechless, and his face went pale. His smile vanished in an instant. He shot me a resentful glare, then got up and went into the bedroom. He slammed the door shut with a loud bang. So that's just how he is, always flying off the handle. I'd always end up soothing him, and now, I opened the mobile minigame Whiteout Survival. I used to play it a bit whenever I was slacking off at work. Since I never spent money on it or grinded hard, I've always been at the very bottom of the game. I always end up getting my resources snatched away by others. I just topped up 50,000 all at once. I'm buying packs and claiming rewards, enjoying the thrill of spending money on the game. Click. The bedroom door was gently pushed open. I instinctively turned my head away. There was Gu Qinghe, leaning against the doorframe with his arms crossed, looking like he was striking a pose. He was wearing a blue and white school uniform. The loose fit was offset by his tall, straight build, giving him a clean, handsome look. He didn't seem to have been idle in the room either, and even his hair had been carefully styled. His bangs hung carelessly over his forehead, giving him a somewhat scholarly air. He looked like that gentle, handsome, popular top student class president you'd find in a class. He lifted his chin slightly, apparently very pleased with the shock on my face, and a hint of smug satisfaction flashed through those glass-like phoenix eyes. There, that should do it. He'd adjusted his voice too, deliberately tightening it to bring out a youthful brightness. You've watched that TV drama of mine, haven't you? I wasn't bad in it. He sounded certain, as if he already knew I'd once followed him and liked him. Of course, my other skills aren't too shabby either. Forget it. I'm done for the day. I'm exhausted. I guess I was like that hopeless husband and went straight to the study. I already put the kid to bed today, and then I had a back and forth with my boss. My body is really giving out on me. Just as I was turning to head for the study, I heard Gu Qinghe slam the door. It used to be Gu Qinghe rejecting my advances. Now it's me rejecting him. Being rejected doesn't feel good, does it? Do you start doubting your own charm in that very moment? I used to keep second-guessing myself, wondering if I just wasn't good enough, but when I started saying no to his reasonable requests, I realized I didn't care about his feelings at all. So the version of me who once spiraled over being turned down was pretty ridiculous. I can't believe I let someone who doesn't care about me make me doubt my own worth. 14. Because I turned Gu Qinghe down yesterday. Gu Chingho was probably upset about it. He got up and left early this morning. Then I realized one of the bras I'd hung out on the balcony was missing. I fell silent for a moment and thought it over, knowing how he is. He probably washed it and put it away for me. I tidied myself up a bit and still decided to go to the company. After all, I'm still one short of the must-eat list. Once I'm done eating today, that's it. After I got to the office, since I was planning to quit, I started organizing my work so it'd be easier to hand over to the person who comes after me. That's just how we decent folks are. We always try our best not to cause trouble for others. Even if I'm about to die, it'd still be like this. After being busy for a little while, I got bored and started messaging Liang-su. Me, what's the boss doing? I kind of miss you, Liang-su. I'm preparing a speech for a meeting in an hour. What's up? Do you need me to do anything? Me, does what you said yesterday still count? I want a kiss now. Liang-su, but it's work hours right now. Fine. I open my phone and plan to slack off with a couple taps on Whiteout Survival. I'm getting on in years, so I just like playing these simple, no-brainer little games. Just as I opened the mini-program game, a message popped up on my phone. Liang-su, come to the top floor. The top floor is a tea room, but it's usually used to host VIP guests, most of the time. It's also the boss's private space. I walked out of the office and, feigning nonchalance, pressed the button for the top floor. Stepping into the break room, I saw Liang-su standing there. He was wearing a light blue French cuff shirt with a navy striped tie. He had a tall, straight-backed figure with a lean waist. The door clicked shut. I stepped forward and looked up at him. He took off his glasses and closed his eyes. My eyes fell on the tie at his neck, and a mischievous idea sprang to mind. I loosened his tie and, as he looked on in confusion, gently covered his eyes. How does it feel? I asked softly, tracing his lips with my finger. That's really bad. Liang-su's jawline was tightly clenched. When vision is taken away, the other senses become exceptionally sharp. His voice was hoarse in a way that was completely out of the ordinary. I gave a soft chuckle, watching him sit composedly on the leather sofa, his hands resting demurely on his knees. He was a tall, dignified man. Yet at this moment he was as obedient as a schoolboy. He seemed to be trying to locate the source of my voice. He turned his head to look for me, his high bridge of the nose visible beneath the tie. How are you feeling now? I sat on his lap, gently rubbing my face against his. I heard a gentle, deep voice above me. I am happy. I began trying to undo his buttons, but Liang-su suddenly grasped my hand. He lowered his head, his warm breath brushing against my face. I heard him whisper, Lin Juexia, what do you want? There was a hint of confusion in his voice, yet it made me feel somewhat suffocated. Do you remember the first time you saw me? Honestly, I've kind of forgotten. Come to think of it, Liang-su was actually my senior. He set up his own studio while he was still in college. That's when I started working on projects with him, and we made a good bit of side money. After graduation, he took over the family business, secured resources, and founded his own company. It was only natural for me to join his company, and I've been a veteran employee there ever since. He even allocated some company shares to me. The plan is to go public next year. We actually got along pretty well at first. In college, we were always laughing and joking around. Back then, we even shared our dreams with each other. He asked me what my dream was. I told him I'm someone who values stability, I'm easily content, and I just hope for a peaceful, smooth-sailing life with financial comfort. So, when did things start to change? I married my favorite celebrity. He turned into a cold, workaholic machine. He was even stingy with granting wedding leave. Honestly, no one really likes their boss at work. I really hate going to work, so over time our relationship just deteriorated. I don't see him as my senior, I just find him annoying, always working overtime. I stayed silent, just kept pestering him. Let's skip the trip down memory lane and get straight to the point, shall we? I heard his deep, gravelly voice and felt his desire stirring. I thought Liang-su was about to start, just like what Song Zhe and I did, but Liang-su didn't move. He just held me in silence. A few minutes later, I heard his voice, low and slow. I've always fantasized about this, just holding you quietly. I've been dreaming of it for a long, long time. Lin Juexia, I've liked you since before you were married. My hand, which had been stroking his chest, suddenly stilled in the darkness. Liang-su seemed to become more forthright. Holding me, he said calmly, fate has a cruel sense of timing. I was about to confess my feelings when you told me you were already married. I looked into that person's background. He's handsome, has some wealth, and most importantly, you seem truly happy. I like you, so I won't be such an asshole as to disrupt your peaceful life. back when you were by my side, you wished for safety and smooth sailing, and that made me afraid to mess up your steady life, so I chose to stay. Lin Juxia, I'm like a waterbird lingering in the wetlands, watching you fly toward a nest that's never meant for me. This brutally honest and heavy confession left me speechless. For a moment, when I realized there was a crack in your marriage, do you know how I felt? At first, I was consumed by overwhelming jealousy, but then came a secret thrill. Fate had finally given me a chance, so this time, I refused to wait any longer. I chose to tell you exactly how I feel. Liang Su took my hand, he lowered his head and gently pressed his lips to it. His lips were cold. It was I who seduced you. Perhaps you never intended to choose me from the start, so I am guilty. I choose to atone to you. I will place everything I have into your hands. 15 In the end, I still didn't eat Liang Su. I just feel like I was originally going for the NTR route, and I only have pure hatred toward others, but after Liang Su went and did that, I'm kind of stuck. Although Liang Su looked delicious, what he said was utterly shocking. Of course, Liang Su ended up straightening his own tie after confessing his feelings. He just stiffly went back to work like that. Well, how should I put it? The president really does have something special about him. I shook off my thoughts and remembered that tonight I was going to the Nanhu Hotel with Gu Qinghe. Gu Qinghe has been doing pretty well these past few days, getting up every morning to make breakfast for me. I've decided to go with him, since I turned him down last time. Gu Qinghe is still giving me the silent treatment, so he went to the banquet on his own. After checking the time, I got dressed and drove myself to South Lake Hotel to pick him up. Pushing open the banquet hall doors, I was met with a wave of noise and the smell of alcohol. My eyes immediately found my handsome husband, surrounded by a crowd urging him to drink. He was wearing a tailored black suit, with broad shoulders and a narrow waist. His figure was striking. Drunk, his phoenix eyes narrowed slightly, their corners tinged red. He looked strained but was still forcing himself to maintain his composure. This wasn't the first time I had accompanied him to a banquet. I had to attend every one of these banquets, which were essentially hunting grounds for filming opportunities. With me, his ordinary wife, by his side, those people would rein themselves in a bit. Giving a hard time to a faded beauty star is oddly satisfying. When he saw me push the door open and come in, Gu Qinghe took the glass of wine in front of him, drank with ease, and smiled like a socialite mingling among wealthy businessmen. Gu Qinghe always came across as perfectly gentle, polished, and gracious in public. I watched the glass being filled again and again, swaying near his lips. He had too much to drink, his fingertips were even trembling slightly, but he was still forcing himself to hold on. If it were any other day, I'd sit quietly in the corner, wait for him to finish socializing, and then drive him home. But today, I decided to just take him home with me. He's drunk now, and looking so dazzlingly beautiful. Why shouldn't I have a taste? There's something incredibly sexy about a man with that slightly tipsy vibe. In the past, I was always intimidated by the rich businessmen around him, afraid that anything I did would embarrass Gu Qinghe. For people like us who are poor, fear is the first instinct we develop to protect ourselves, but I'm dying anyway. Why should I care about pleasing any of you right now? My little head is doing the thinking for my big head. I walked straight up without a word and reached out to block the glass of wine that was about to be offered to Gu Qinghe's lips. No more for me. The portly businessman across the table was visibly taken aback. His gaze shifted to Gu Qinghe, laced with scrutiny and displeasure. Gu Qinghe hastily forced a smile, trying to smooth things over. Directorly, this is my wife. She's worried about my health. I didn't let him finish. I grabbed the wine glass in front of the businessman, my fingers tightening abruptly. Crack. The wine glass shattered on cue, and crimson wine splashed all over the tycoon's face. The surrounding area fell silent for a split second. I looked at the other man's stunned face without expression, grabbed Gu Qinghe's wrist, and said coldly, "It's time to go home." As I said that, I turned and gave the wealthy businessman a sneer. He makes a living with his acting skills, not by drinking. Yes, he's going home to role play with me. I gripped Gu Qinghe's hand tightly and led him through the crowd toward the exit of the banquet hall. The heavy door shut behind us, instantly cutting off the noise and glamour inside. The evening breeze hit my face, damp with the moisture rising from South Lake. Gu Qinghe followed quietly behind me. Unlike his usual sharpness and resentment, he was unusually silent at that moment. Only the faint sound of footsteps and the rustle of fabric hinted at his presence. His fingers were ice cold, trembling slightly in my palm. 16 Gu Qinghe and I got into the car. When I turned the steering wheel with one hand and looked back, Gu Qinghe's voice sounded in my ear. The evening breeze slipped through the crack in the car window, softening his usually clear voice with a hint of post-drink hoarseness. Well, you were pretty bold today, but we were originally hoping to land a brand endorsement this time. Thanks to your little stunt, it's all fallen through. I knew it. So this is Gu Qinghe, an ungrateful jerk and a vicious bastard. I rolled my eyes. After I finished backing the car in, I turned around and yelled at him. These investors have always cared about business value, not how many glasses of wine you've had. If you're of no use to them, even if you drank yourself to death here today, no one would spare you a second glance. The car fell suddenly silent. Gu Qinghe turned his head and looked at me with those deep, dark eyes, then suddenly asked softly, including you, his voice was hoarse, if I drank myself to death here and no one cared, would you care about me? What the hell was that supposed to mean? Gu Qinghe's blunt question left me completely stunned. When I didn't say anything, Gu Qinghe seemed to flare up, his voice suddenly rising. Do you think I lower myself to drink with people for my own sake? I'm doing this for this family too. The Chanel you're wearing, the Hermes on the back seat of your car, what about any of that isn't money? Do you really think a little programmer like you could afford it on your own? So the things you gave me were real? I thought they were fake. His voice rose, taking on a mocking tone. Your brother spends $100,000 a month on my card, and the suburban villa your parents live in, it's all paid for by the money I made smiling and schmoozing at drinking tables, taking gigs. How come I never knew that? So my family back home has been living this well behind my back. Then why don't I get $100,000 a month and spending money? Then why am I even going to work? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, and I was just about to clear things up with Gu Qinghe. Gu Qinghe had already sunk completely into his own emotions and couldn't pull himself out. I don't make money. He suddenly forced a smile, but there was no warmth in his eyes at all. Will you take care of me? His tone was mocking, and his attitude turned nasty again. I grabbed his gray tie and gave it a light tug toward me. Caught off guard, he was forced to lean in close. I didn't hesitate at all and kissed his lips, even as he kept spouting his cutting remarks. Shut up already. Stop complaining. I'm sick to death of hearing you gripe. His lips were cool and soft, still tinged with the lingering taste of alcohol. I could feel his whole body stiffen at once, his pupils dilating sharply as he locked eyes with me. Those eyes, usually so mocking and detached, now looked like a lake under the night sky, gently brushed by the evening breeze. Ripples spread outward in circles. Then, almost immediately, he came to his senses. The tip of his tongue was like a nimble little snake. It slipped into my mouth with a tentative, almost retaliatory air. 17 Nanhu Hotel was located on the outskirts. So I drove out to a remote, deserted stretch of country road. Outside the car window, the night sky was ink black, with stars twinkling. The car's interior lighting had a faintly suggestive glow, like melted honey. I turned on the Bluetooth, and I Wish My Mind Would Shut Up played in the car. I kissed him while looking at his half-lidded phoenix eyes, glistening with moisture, as if veiled in mist. The drunken blush on her cheeks was like roses blooming in fresh snow, stunningly beautiful all along. I had only admired him from afar, never daring to touch him. This time, I no longer waited obediently. Instead, I moved like a diligent bee going after a rose. My fingers naturally moved to undo his shirt. Gu Qinghe suddenly took hold of my hand. He shot me a sidelong glance. I said softly, Gu Qinghe, I'll take care of you. I looked into his eyes, my expression especially earnest. That's the great thing about an honest person. When they make a serious promise, it makes you trust them all the more and feel secure. Whether you're in the entertainment industry or not, I'll take care of you. I'll keep working to support you, just painting a pretty picture for you. I didn't get to have Liang Su today, so having you instead wouldn't be bad. His phoenix eyes narrowed slightly as he held my hand, his voice languid. So even if I get old and lose my looks, you'll still take care of me. His tone was still sarcastic, but it seemed to soften a little. He was holding my wrist, and I lifted my hand in response, gently pressing a kiss to his fingertips. Gu Qinghe, I'll love you forever. I don't love the dazzling superstar you are on stage. I love the you who wakes up in the morning with messy hair and sleepy eyes. Honestly, without makeup, you're just average. With me, you can let your guard down completely. I'm willing to listen to your complaints, and to read between the lines of your moods. I'll indulge your bad temper and soothe your ups and downs. The timid you, the jealous you, the spoiled, bad-tempered you, the vulnerable you in some fleeting moment. I love every one of them. Nope, what I love most is still your lovely face, your long legs, and your slender waist. I gently kissed his face, my fingers easily unfastening his shirt, his belt. In the car. 18 I stumbled home in a daze last night. Gu Qinghe's voice seemed really loud that evening. Gu Qinghe was so exhausted that he fell asleep. I felt like I was falling apart all over, but I forced myself to make it to the bathroom. The moment I picked up my phone and looked at it, I was wide awake. The screen showed more than 30 missed calls from Songzae and a bunch of WeChat messages. The first few messages were still pretty normal, asking what I was doing. What are you doing? I beat the game. Where are you? Reply to me. Then the other person seemed to start getting impatient. I think I heard some strange noises on your end. Are you okay? Why do I feel like I just heard a guy talking? Lin Juexia, why is there a man's voice in your house? What is he yelling about? Damn it, what are you two doing? Stop. I said stop. I went to your place and knocked on the door. Open up. Then came a barrage of messages. Nobody answered the door. What the hell are you all doing? I'm calling the police. I'm telling you, nobody gets to toy with me. This is my first time. Tell that bastard to get his ass out here. What kind of skank did you bring home? Do you really have that low class? Open the door. I said open the door. Cold sweat broke out all over me. I crept quietly to the door and peeked through the peephole. Songzae was leaning against the wall by my front door. He was wearing a gray hoodie with the hood pulled up. A few curls had slipped out over his forehead, making him look even younger. His pretty doll-like face looked a little angry at the moment. There were clear signs that he'd been crying. His curls were even damp and stuck to his cheeks. His lips were pressed tightly together, fingers flying across his phone screen. I quickly replied to him on WeChat. Me, I was busy just now. He's not a rent boy. The message was answered almost instantly, and typing kept showing above the chat box. I typed slowly, me, he's my husband. Through the peephole, I saw Songzae's body visibly stiffen. He gripped the phone with both hands, his fingers flying furiously across the screen. Bro, how come I didn't feel a single point from that skill? My phone started ringing and banging away non-stop. Songzae, you have a husband? Songzae, are you kidding me? Today isn't April Fool's Day. Songzae, if you have a husband, why did you come messing with me? Why did you say you like me? I replied, me, sorry, things are a little complicated. If you don't mind, we can leave it at that. Songzae outside the door quickly shoved his phone back into his pocket and hurried toward the elevator. Looks like he's heading back. I let out a sigh of relief, even though I haven't walked a puppy yet and gotten the hang of this new skill. This is already enough. The other person looks really angry. Ding dong. WeChat chimed again. Songzae, it was my first time. Why did you lie to me? You played with my feelings. Songzae, I'll never forgive you. I guess I went a bit too far, but then again, taking your dog out without a leash or renovating your place on a day off and disturbing the neighbors is pretty trashy too. Just as I was silently weighing which offense was worse, my phone dinged again. Songzae, I don't mind. Songzae, did you hear me? I said I don't mind. Songzae, you can divorce your husband, whatever he wants, I'll pay him. My family has more money than we know what to do with. I replied helplessly. Me, his name is Gu Qinghe, he probably isn't really short on money either. Me, and our marriage is just on paper, so we may be getting divorced soon too. The other person stayed silent for a full 5 minutes, then a Baidu Baiki link was sent over. It was Gu Qinghe's entry. Songzae, so it's a marriage of convenience. You scared me to death. Songzae, wait, no. That's not right. Songzae, then what are you two doing at night? I'm telling you, if it's a marriage of convenience, then you're not allowed to sleep with him. Songzae, I've heard the entertainment industry is pretty messy. The way he sounded, so flirtatious and wild, you can tell he's not exactly a decent guy. Who knows if he's even clean? I'm the one who's never done this before. Damn, his IQ looks really low. It won't affect me, right? 19. Early the next morning, Songzae messaged me, telling me to come upstairs and find him. Are you awake? Get up here right now. Stop pretending to be asleep. I know you're awake. 3 minutes. If you don't come up, I'll go downstairs and knock on your door myself, and I'll get your fake husband acquainted with me too. Dog with knife meme. I walked out of the bedroom. As I turned around, I saw Gu Qinghe shirtless, wearing an apron, smiling in my direction. Awake, I made bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches and warmed up some milk. Let's have breakfast together. I remember that back then, I was the one trying to win him over, often making him breakfast in the morning and inviting him to eat with me. Every time, he would coldly turn me down. Now it's somehow the other way around. I shook my head and said, no, no, something came up at the company. I didn't have time to care how he might react. I quickly dashed out and pressed the elevator button for the upper floors. The door was yanked open after the doorbell rang only once. I spotted Sanzay at a glance, his beautiful almond-shaped eyes were already swollen, and he looked a little disheveled, but his tone still carried that deliberate air of arrogance. As soon as he saw me, Sanzay unlocked his phone and showed me his photo album. The album contained over 20 videos from gossip accounts, along with countless screenshots. It's all videos and screenshots of people smearing Gu Qinghe. I know a bit about Gu Qinghe. When we got married, they were still very upfront with me. Some of those rumors are indeed false. What? Gu Qinghe is intersex. Gu Qinghe secretly gave birth to a child. Because the baby was a girl, Gu Qinghe wasn't allowed to register her household after giving birth. Gu Qinghe sold hooks. I don't think he's ever sold those kinds of services. I even swatted his but with pomelo leaves that night. He doesn't look like someone who's ever done that, but Sanzay was standing right in front of me, flat out spreading bogus rumors about Gu Qinghe. See, this is your husband. You got tricked into this marriage, didn't you? I can help you get out of this misery. He looked completely self-righteous. Me, this is all fake. Sanzay raised his voice. There's video evidence. How could video be fake? I may not be too fond of Gu Qinghe, but I have even less patience for stupidity. I scratched the back of my head. I decided to make things clear with Sanzay. Gu Qinghe and I are still tangled up right now. I think the two of us should call it quits for now. I don't agree. Sanzay started screaming, "Stop yelling, stop yelling." I quickly reached out to stop him. This building really doesn't have great soundproofing, damn it. Gu Qing, if you're letting my blood-sucking parents live in the villa, why can't I move in too? If you don't know what my relationship with my family is like, could you at least ask me first? I watched Sanzay scream with both hands clamped over his cheeks. I scrambled to come up with an excuse. It was my fault for not handling my family situation properly before expressing my feelings for you. We ended up doing things we never should have done. I think this is all my fault. Since it was a mistake, can we just put everything back on track? You can keep walking the dog every day. Just remember to keep it on a leash, then go on finishing up your gaming room, and on your days off, stop pretending. Damn, I'm already talking nonsense. Sanzay kept screaming. I disagree. Since it's already happened, then we should keep this relationship going. You already promised me you'd get a divorce. I was losing my patience fast. What if I don't get divorced for now? You know Gu Qinghe is currently an entertainer, and we still need to keep up the marriage on paper. Sanzay quickly found an excuse for himself. Sanzay was getting more and more excited. All you have between you is a certificate, but what I have with you is love. Isn't love far greater than a piece of paper? Besides, you're an independent person, so you're independent. In marriage too, you have the right to be with me. You're exercising that right now. You have to be with me. Sanzay looked like a wind-up electric dog. His shoulders hunched as he trembled non-stop. Damn it, this guy's gone insane. I have to break up with him. I understand how you feel, but the situation is that we just can't be together. I stepped back and held out my hand to stop him. Maybe my step back set Sanzay off, because he suddenly fell silent. Those beautiful almond-shaped eyes looked at me, shimmering with tears. He went quiet, his voice low and filled with endless hurt. This is my first time, Lin Juexia. This is my first time. How can you just not want me anymore? I told you I didn't mind. I'll make sure you two are divorced soon. I'll go find my dad. He's very capable. It has nothing to do with whether we're divorced or not. Even if I divorce him, our relationship ends today. Okay. I rubbed my temples. Was I not good enough? Sanzay bit his rose-colored lip and suddenly hurried over to the side, where a glass cabinet displayed many outfits for his little dog. With a bang, he yanked open the cabinet and took out a delicate leather collar. He then clicked it onto his slender, fair neck. Sanzay rushed up to me, his almond-shaped eyes shining like stars. He shoved the leash into my hands all at once, his voice brimming with excitement. Lin Juexia, don't you like this? That's how you treated me in the elevator. You can do whatever you want, just don't leave me. He was speaking so fast that his cheeks were flushed red, his eyelashes still clung to trembling tears. He awkwardly wound the leash around my wrist, over and over again. I really wanted to go for it, but reality told me that, given my plan to quit my job and stay home playing games all day, Sanzay was like a ticking bomb, way too unstable. I let out a long, deep sigh. Sanzay, let's just call it quits, okay? The leash hit the floor with a clatter. I heard a scream from behind Sanzay. Lin Juexia, if you walk out that door, I'll never forgive you. Sanzay, will never again pursue a married woman. Lin Juexia, I'm counting to 10, get back here. 55, bang. I hurriedly slammed and shut his front door. Come on, you lousy hand, hit the elevator button already. Don't let him chase us out. 20. As soon as I left Songzae's place, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Having someone keep nagging in your ear like that feels awful. I hurried to the company by car, but even after I got there, my head was still buzzing. The moment I stepped into the office, I could tell my coworkers were looking at me oddly. One coworker said awkwardly, "Girl, you sure eat well." Confused, I followed her gaze and turned my head. There was Gu Chinghe, standing gracefully at the front desk with a pink insulated lunchbox in hand. He was impeccably dressed, his voice so gentle it seemed almost to melt into water. "I brought you breakfast." "Skipping breakfast isn't good for your health." I didn't take the lunchbox and froze, because not. Far behind Gu Chinghe, Liang-su was standing there, tall and straight. He was dressed in a suit and looked cold and indifferent. The eyes behind the silver-rimmed glasses were fixed on us, pinning us in place. Gu Chinghe seemed intoxicated with joy. He took my hand and was just about to press the lunchbox into it. Liang-su strode over. Liang-su stepped directly between Gu Chinghe and me, his voice calm. "Mr. Gu, I remember you. You're Lin Juexiao's partner. Since you're here, why not come to my office and have a seat?" Gu Chinghe had always been sharp. He glanced quickly at Liang-su, a gentle smile appearing on his face. "Sure, what do you two even have to talk about? Cheating right in front of someone, that's crossing the line, way too far." After arriving at the conference room, Liang-su took the seat of honor first, carrying himself like a polished elite, yet with a faint but sharp edge of aggression. It was as if the person sitting across from him wasn't Gu Chinghe, but a business rival. "Gu Chinghe, I think I know you fairly well." Liang-su slid a stack of documents over to Gu Chinghe. I leaned in to take a look. "Damn, this is basically Gu Chinghe's full dossier, down to the details of his birth certificate, including all of Gu Chinghe's current collaboration projects." Gu Chinghe really is something else. Even with such a detailed file laid out in front of him, he still kept that polished, gentle smile. Even after getting doxxed, he stayed completely composed. No wonder he's a big star. Liang-su's voice was cool and detached. "I'll get straight to the point. I know your marriage to Lin Juexia is already dead in all but name, and your career has also hit a few bottlenecks lately. I can invest in a film and have you play the male lead. On top of that, there's another 5 million here. Of course, my request is very simple. I hope you'll sign this divorce agreement." Liang-su set another document and the check down side by side, his tone leaving no room for doubt. "My request is simple. Sign this divorce agreement." When he finished speaking, he turned to me, his gaze heavy. "Lin Juexia, this is my sincerity. My net worth is by no means inferior to Mr. Gu's. This is a transfer agreement for 5% of the shares in a company under my name, effective immediately. This is the guarantee I'm giving you." Liang-su looked back at Gu Chinghe, his tone firm. "I'm not like you. I can offer her a better future, and more love." Gu Chinghe lifted his phoenix eyes and looked my way. "Why are you looking at me? Don't look at me. Go deal with the mistress." Gu Chinghe's expression was still soft and gentle, but his tone had grown noticeably sharper. "Liang-su, the tech rising star who's been featured in financial magazines, is sitting right in front of me, asking me to give up my wife. If this got out, it would be a huge scandal. Aren't you worried about your reputation, Mr. Liang? I've fallen in love with a woman. Whatever her past, I only want myself in her future. I don't think that would hurt my reputation." Liang-su's tone was cool and distant. He rubbed his ring, growing a little impatient. Gu Chinghe slowly let a smile spread across his face, a smile like a poisoned rose, gorgeous and cutting. "If Mr. Liang were to star in an idol drama, he'd probably win more awards than I have." As he spoke, Gu Chinghe's gaze shifted to me. "So when you said the company had something urgent to deal with early on, you meant this? Lin Juexia, you want to divorce me. What does that have to do with me? I only just found out too." I widened my eyes and put on a confused, innocent, and harmless expression. To hell with her. Playing dumb is the way to go right now." Liang-su also turned his gaze to me, as if asking, "Who exactly are you choosing?" The conference room was very quiet, and both men were staring at me intensely, just as I was drenched in cold sweat and had no idea what to do. A knock sounded from outside. "Lin Juexia, your younger brother came to the company to look for you." Then came a panicked voice from a coworker. "Hey, wait, Lin Juexia is in there talking with Mr. Liang. You can't go in." Before the words were even out, the conference room door was shoved open. I saw Songzae rush in, clutching his little teddy bear dog in his arms. My vision went black. 21. "Lin Juexia, my son threw up. I didn't know what to do, so I had to come to you." Songzae came trotting over with the puppy in his arms, his almond-shaped eyes glistening as he looked at me. "Lin Juexia, you said Your son was so adorable. How can you be this heartless and not even care for him anymore? Honestly, every time I see you walking around without a leash and your son clamping onto my leg and biting me like crazy, I just want to kick it flying. Sanzay clung to the hem of my shirt with stubborn affection, and only then did his gaze drift toward the conference room. My colleague slammed the conference room door shut. The conference room fell into complete silence. Sanzay was holding my hand, and both Liang Su and Gu Qinghe had their eyes fixed on Sanzay and me. Then Gu Qinghe let out a soft chuckle. Looks like Lin Juexia has another surprise in store for us. I glanced at Gu Qinghe and gave a faint, tight-lipped smile. What's wrong? Surprised that all your boyfriends are in the same room. Gu Qinghe narrowed those elegant eyes of his tone sharp and biting. Shut up, you old goose. Sanzay was the first to turn around and snap at Gu Qinghe. I saw Liang Su raise his coffee cup to hide the curve of his lips. Gu Qinghe frowned. Lin Juexia, is this the kind of person you hang around with? Some classless lowlife like him? Who are you calling a lowlife? Do you know who my dad is? I can have you blacklisted right now. Sanzay lifted his chin in a haughty manner. Who is it? Gu Qinghe narrowed his eyes, his fingers flicking to wake the phone screen, apparently preparing to record. Do you think I'm an idiot? I'm not telling you, you guess. Sanzay let out a cold snort and turned his head away. He turned to look at me, and his gaze softened like water. Is this your husband? Lin Juexia, up close, he really isn't much to look at. There are even wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. Lin Juexia, I'm young and rich, we're the better match. The wrinkles at the corners of his eyes seemed to have hit Gu Qinghe's nerve. He quickly used his phone's reflection to check his own eyes, then he casually ran a finger over the corner of his eye and started verbally attacking Sanzay. Are young people these days really this shameless? If you're that desperate for love, go jump off a building, then the whole world will love you. Sanzay was so furious his curly hair looked like it was about to stand on end. He put his son down and lunged at Gu Qinghe, ready to grab and hit him. His son wasn't about to back down either. He had already run over and started rubbing against Gu Qinghe's leg. The scene was so chaotic for a moment that I was left staring in disbelief. Enough, this is a company, not a wet market. Liang Su's cold voice rang out. It was like a bucket of ice water had been splashed over the room, instantly chilling the entire conference room. Looks like today's negotiation with Mr. Gu can't continue. If the two of you have a private grudge, please take it outside to settle it. You two can leave now. Then his gaze turned to me, who had stepped aside to avoid getting caught in the crossfire. His voice dropped. Lin Juexia, you stay, you still have some work to do. 22. I can't do this anymore. Sanzay refused to leave, and in the end I lost my temper and threatened him. Only then did he leave, sulking. Before leaving, he even held the dog and threatened Gu Qinghe. Juexia and I are truly in love. If you know what's good for you, get lost. Gu Qinghe straightened his collar, regaining his polished, gentle demeanor. He looked at me and said calmly, Lin Juexia, I'll be waiting for you at home. Come back and explain everything to me. After everyone had left, only Liang Su and I remained in the room. Our eyes met. Liang Su spoke first. Lin Juexia, tell me, what is it that you want? Whatever it is, as long as it's what you want, I'll find a way to put it in your hands. Every word I'm saying to you right now is sincere. He paused, his eyes darkening behind his glasses. My current social standing, along with the moral principles I've upheld all this time, do not allow me to become a third party who interferes in someone else's marriage. So the most direct thing I can do is make Gu Qinghe leave. I believe that's the only way to solve this and for us to be together openly and above board. I met Liang Su's expectant gaze and fell silent. Then I heard my own voice. It sounded a little helpless, and a little tired. What do you mean? What do I want? All I ever wanted was a stable life, I said after a long silence. All I ever wanted was a stable life, just to live quietly, day after day. I tried my best not to hurt anyone, and naively hoped others would show me a basic level of kindness and not hurt me, but later I realized I was wrong. I always entrusted everything to other people's conscience. I always stayed silent and never spoke my mind. I was always too easy to get along with, so everyone would overlook how I felt. Gu Qinghe looks down on me. I treated him well, but he used me as a prop to maintain his image and as an outlet for his emotions. Sanzay bullied me. He bossed me around at will and trampled on my goodwill. And Liang Su, are you really any better than them? You're controlling me, over time? I've been exhausted from all the overtime. Work takes up all my time, and I'm truly worn out during the day. I've asked you for time off, but you always go on about how women should have their own careers. You said you'd give me shares, you gave me a raise, you seem very good to me, but do you know what it feels like to work overtime 5 days a week even now? You went behind my back and talked to Gu Qinghe about a divorce without even asking for my opinion. You're no different from them, none. Have you ever cared how I felt? I spread my hands, my tone weary. What do I really want? I want to live freely. Before I got sick, I was like a tightly running cog in a machine, carrying both family responsibilities and social responsibilities for my family. I worked hard to keep my marriage strong. At work, I was equally diligent and devoted, but I was really exhausted. It suddenly dawned on me, in truth, I never wanted to knock these people off their pedestals, and I no longer wanted to devour them. Either, I also didn't want to be possessed by any one of them. After learning I was ill, overwhelming fear made me feel that I should spend my final days indulging myself and seeking pleasure, but all this back and forth bickering and maneuvering has left me feeling exhausted and hollow. What I really want is simply to shed these restraints. I don't want to be the good wife, the good employee, or the good person society expects me to be. I want to put my own feelings first in life. The life I want is not one of indulgence or selfishness, but one of quiet honesty, living by what my heart truly wants. Looking at Liang Su's face, it suddenly clicked. I said, I'm resigning. Liang Su froze for a moment. My voice was firm. From now on, I'm going to live the life I want. 23. My plan is simple. Find a rental place, then live on takeout, bubble tea, and video games until I've completely lost track of day and night. When I was young, I had no money. Now that I'm grown, I have no time. Some people dream of traveling the world, but all I want is to be a lazy shut-in, sleeping in a warm bed until I wake up naturally. I tidied up my workspace and handed over my tasks. I'm back home. It was pitch black when I walked into the house. I thought no one was home yet. The moment I switched on the light, I was startled to find Gu Qinghe sitting on the sofa, watching me. He had actually been waiting for me in the dark all along. Coiled like a serpent lying in wait in the night, he seemed to have had some wine. A rosy flush bloomed on his cheeks, giving him the delicate appearance of a porcelain beauty. As I approached, he lifted his head, his phoenix eyes as fragile as fine glass. He said, Lin Juexia, is your revenge over? Before I could answer, his voice rang out again. No forced gentleness, no biting sarcasm. His tone just sounded a little sad. I didn't get any work done this afternoon. I just sat here thinking about our marriage. You used to be so good to me. Gu Qinghe paused, as if remembering something, his gaze growing distant. To keep my weight in check, I was on a strict diet for a long time, and you would search online for recipes. When I had a stomachache, you'd get me medicine and make me congee. Even when I was in a bad mood and took it out on you, you'd still find a way to comfort me. But my feelings for you now don't come from how good you were to me in the past, compared to the kind and considerate you who used to take care of my every need. I prefer the you who's a bit sharper, with a worse temper, and always picking on me. Then you might be I just love being dominated, so it's actually that simple to win your heart. Guess studying games beats studying men. I remained silent. When did things start changing? He asked, looking at me with a hint of sadness in his eyes. Honestly, I've kind of sensed that there's someone else in your life, Gu Qinghe then said with a bitter smile. You know what I was thinking? At first, I was jealous. I hated you. But then, I actually felt like we're even. You betrayed me. And I wasn't good to you in the past. We've both hurt each other. Now we're square. I want to keep living this life with you. We can start from today, from this moment. From now on, let's be like a normal couple. I think we can start over. Gu Qinghe's gaze swept across the table. I saw it was covered with jewelry, gold bars, property deeds, and other valuables. These are all my assets. I've never told you about them until now. I'm laying all my cards on the table to show you my commitment. I looked at these things on the table. I used to want to build a happy life with Gu Qinghe, but he wasn't willing. Now that I'm on my deathbed, he wants to be with me again. So I say, fate is truly a kind little girl. What you can't have in one chapter of life, she'll give you in the next. But right now, I just want to be a lazy couch potato. I've entered a state of enlightenment, so no one's beauty can tempt me anymore. I've decided to settle things with Gu Qinghe once and for all. Gu Qinghe, I actually really liked you before, but that feeling is gone now. When you mentioned my brother using your card every month, that was the first I'd heard of it. Perhaps that's one reason you've come to resent me. My family always favored sons over daughters, and I worked hard to break free from that environment and build a life here. I never imagined they'd track you down and sweet talk you into giving them money. Please, cut off the card immediately. I don't feel grateful that you've been supporting them. In fact, it sickens me. That family doesn't deserve a single thing from my life. I'm planning to divorce you because I no longer love you. Living with someone who doesn't love you for the rest of your life is truly pitiful, given how proud you are. Gu Qing, I'm sure you wouldn't want to end up that way. Let's get a divorce. It was the first time I had an open and sincere conversation with Gu Qinghe about ending things. No more empty promises, no more lies. I genuinely want to end all this, move to Kunming, rent a place, and become a total couch potato. I looked at Gu Qinghe's handsome, gentle face. Gu Qinghe would probably agree, sign without a fuss, and ideally, throw some money my way. It's fine if you don't give it to me. To be honest, I haven't been entirely on the level all these years either. I've been secretly stashing away my own salary. Then, I saw a slow smile bloom on Gu Qinghe's face. You want a divorce from me, in your dreams. The sorrow on Gu Qinghe's face vanished in an instant. His cheeks flushed like a fragrant rose. His voice rose in pitch. Do you really think I'm asking for your opinion when I say I want to start over with you? I'm just informing you. You can refuse, but I will never divorce you. Even a marriage built on pure hatred is still a marriage, right? As long as I don't agree, those dogs outside can only stare at you through the window. You'll spend your whole life by my side. You can hate me, curse me, hit me, but we're legally married. And on the certificate, you're only mine. A flush spread across Gu Qinghe's pale cheeks as he laughed like a madman. Gu Qinghe began to laugh, his eyes shining with an extraordinary brightness. I watched as he slowly removed his clothes in the dim light. His pale legs were long and slender, their lines graceful. The chastity belt gleamed with a cold sheen. His voice was light and cheerful. You can't even dream of abandoning me. What the hell? Another one's gone mad. A bunch of lunatics. I didn't think twice. I turned and ran. What do you all think I am? I'm really not as twisted as you all think. Okay. 24. The first day after Lin Juexia left, Gu Qinghe sent warning texts to both Liang Su and Song Zhe, warned two men to leave their wives. Of course, the other party paid no heed to the warning. Song Zhe sent an abusive text message, threatening to kill his mother. Liang Su did not reply to him. The day after Lin Juexia left, her brother showed up at the door demanding to know why his card was cut off. Remembering how much Lin Juexia despised her brother, Gu Qinghe took a swing and punched him. Hearing the commotion, Song Zhe came rushing out as well. He also gave Lin's brother a beating, warning him that if he ever bothered Lin Juexia again, he'd be dumped in the open ocean to fish for squid. It was only then that Gu Qinghe realized Song Zhe actually lived right upstairs. Gu Qinghe's mind was in turmoil. He kept wondering, living so close together, how many times had they secretly met? Song Zhe looked so young. Would he make Lin Juexia happier than he could? Lin Juexia is an honest, decent person. Song Zhe must have been the one who went after him. Young people these days have no moral boundaries at all. Disgusting. Gu Qinghe's heart seemed to be soaked in sour water, aching with every beat. A surge of rage and bitterness flooded his entire being. His body burned with feverish heat as he stared at Song Zhe before him, teeth clenched tightly on his lip. Just as Gu Qinghe opened his mouth to hurl a sarcastic remark at Song Zhe, the latter's fist was already flying toward him. Song Zhe was like a rabid dog, lashing out at anyone in his path. With bloodshot eyes, he demanded of Gu Qinghe, "Where is Lin Juexia? Did you hide her?" Gu Qinghe had indeed intended to do just that, but before he could act, Lin Juexia had already gone into hiding. Gu Qinghe felt utterly useless. He hadn't made it big in the entertainment industry. What a failure. Even after falling for someone, he couldn't keep her to himself. Still useless. Sinking into self-pity, Gu Qinghe ended up pinned to the floor by Song Zhe, who grabbed him by the hair. The two rolled on the ground, tearing at each other's hair, with Song Zhe clawing at his face the whole time. It's really just jealousy over his looks, isn't it? After all, Song Zhe is only younger, but not as handsome. Gu Qinghe's self-pity had eased a little. He thought he still had a chance. Song Zhe was nothing special. Song Zhe even said he was going to kill his mother, but his mother had long since died. His dad passed away a long time ago too. Gu Qinghe thought he had been in the entertainment industry since he was 16, and now he had nothing left. 3 days after Lin Juexia left, Gu Qinghe found Lin Juexia's cancer diagnosis report. In the drawer lay a single, thin sheet of paper, yet Gu Qinghe felt as if he couldn't lift it. It was far too heavy. Gu Qinghe called Liang Su and Song Zhe, deciding he needed to speak with them both. 25. Song Zhe arrived first. He wore a flashy leather jacket, his curly hair was disheveled, and his eyes were rimmed with red. Liang Su arrived Shortly after, and even though he was usually so composed, he didn't notice his tie clip was crooked. Gu Qinghe's hand kept shaking. Gu Qinghe spoke first. He heard his own voice, so soft, as light as a feather, slowly drifting to the ground. Jueshe's illness is very serious. I looked into it, and so far there doesn't seem to be any known cure, but even so, I'm planning to sell the house and take her to the United States for treatment. I came to talk to you because, in a situation like this, it'd be best if you stopped bothering them. It would be better for Jueshe too, Sanzai immediately said. I have plenty of money. I'll cover the cost of going to the U.S. for treatment, and I'm going too. Sanzai was no longer acting arrogant and overbearing. He kept his head slightly lowered and said in a low voice, I know you definitely don't feel at ease letting me take Jueshe there, so I'm willing to back down. I'll go with Gu Qinghe. I'm willing to get along with Gu Qinghe properly. Gu Qinghe, please take me along, I'll pay. Liang Su was silent for 2 minutes. His voice echoed in the quiet room, hoarse and low, like river stones at the bottom of a lake that had been tumbled by the current for years. His glasses reflected the light from outside, obscuring his eyes. All you could hear was his calm voice. I want to take Lin Jueshe to America. I plan to fulfill Lin Jueshe's wishes first, letting her do whatever she wants during the countdown of her life, satisfying every one of her desires. Once she's tired and no longer interested in playing, we'll go for treatment. I'll use all my resources and wealth to provide her with the best medical care in the world, regardless of the consequences. At this point, Liang Su paused for a brief moment. The air was thick with silence, and everyone could hear Liang Su's voice. If we're certain there's no hope for a cure in the end, we'll go through euthanasia together. The word die was especially sensitive, the moment it slipped out of Liang Su's mouth. Sanzai blurted out in protest, you want Lin Jueshe dead? Are you fucking crazy? Cancer is very painful. If there were no hope of recovery for her, I couldn't bear to see her tormented by illness and pain. I would ask for her wishes, and whether, when there is no hope of survival, she would choose to die with dignity and without suffering, I'd choose to die with her. She won't be afraid, because I'll be right there with her until the end. I'll die too. Then Liang Su's gaze gently swept over Gu Qinghe, pale as a ghost, and Sanzai, stunned into silence. His voice remained calm, making the idea of dying together sound almost casual. I'm different from both of you, Sanzai. Maybe your love was intense but fleeting. Gu Qinghe, yours was the kind that only mattered after it was gone. Mine has been a love kept hidden for too long, never allowed to be spoken, never realized. When I realized I was in love, I was already watching her step into marriage, in the dead of night. I clutched my chest in agony, my heart breaking with unbearable pain, yet by day I still calmly wished her well, hoping she would have a lifetime of peace and happiness. I never truly had her for even a second. I have nothing but myself, and all I want is to walk with her to the very end of the journey. As he spoke, Liang Su actually smiled. There was a faint warmth in his eyes, gleaming with a brilliant light. Unlike his former aloof elegance, Liang Su now wore a blissful smile on his handsome face. The ending of dying together with Lin Jueshe seemed to satisfy him. The room was so quiet it was almost eerie. Everyone was silent until Gu Qinghe's voice broke the stillness. I think we should ask Jueshe's opinion too. His face had an unhealthy pallor. Gu Qinghe's fingers trembled slightly, yet his voice was unusually clear. In truth, we've never truly respected Lin Jueshe's opinions. We all claim to love her, but everything we do comes from our own perspective. We say it's for her own good, yet we're fighting over her, arranging her life, even deciding her fate. Maybe, her leaving was part of her own plan. For the 3 days after Lin Jueshe left, Gu Qinghe shut himself away in his room and over tried to figure out what Lin Jueshe wanted. Thankfully, he's a pretty good actor. He put himself in Lin Jueshe's shoes and imagined living her life. He finally experienced that sense of oppression. It wasn't just physical pain, it was more of a mental and emotional suffocation. Lin Jueshe grew up in a family that favored sons over daughters. This instilled in her a deep-seated sense of unworthiness. She told herself that success only came through hard work, and rewards only through sacrifice. She could never bring herself to believe in the concept of getting something for nothing, so she drove herself to spin relentlessly, like a silent, solitary planet in perpetual rotation. She couldn't voice her needs, or rather, whenever she did, she was shot down, so she simply stopped trying. No one had ever set foot on her planet, and no one had ever truly listened to what she needed. When he thought about all this, Gu Qinghe realized how truly painful it was. Gu Qinghe was no saint, on the contrary. After fully grasping the root of Lin Juexie's suffering, an even more cunning idea began to take shape in his mind. He could have leveraged this unique understanding to play the role of the ultimate confidant. This way, he could comprehend her emotions and fulfill her emotional needs. This was his final trump card. Yet, he chose to fold that hand. Gu Qinghe thought, if one more person could understand her, perhaps she would be a little further from the pain, a little less alone. Gu Qinghe sent a message to Lin Juexie. We've seen your cancer diagnosis. Come back, we're all here, let's talk about it together. 26. After I'd had a blast for 3 days straight, the hospital called to say it was a misdiagnosis. I went back to the hospital for another checkup. I was completely fine, except for some pretty dark circles under my eyes. The doctor told me to stay up less late. I checked my bank account balance and let out a sigh of relief. Luckily, the games I'd been playing these past 2 days were all on the Switch. One of them was Story of Seasons. I'd played for 3 days and still hadn't even made it past spring. I'd barely spent anything on in-game purchases, and I still had savings left, since I wasn't going to die after all. That at least left me 30 more years to play games. I thought it over carefully. Since I know how to code, I might as well find a small city, work from home doing freelance jobs, and make a little extra money. I'd have a flexible schedule, and more time to play games too. Anyway, I'm not very materialistic. I don't really go after luxury goods. My biggest hobbies are gaming and ordering takeout with bubble tea. I never expected it. But one misdiagnosis led me to discover the most comfortable way to live. Life doesn't have to be a relentless rat race. You don't have to be the perfect employee, the successful one in your old classmates' eyes, the one with a picture-perfect loving marriage, or the righteous person society expects you to be. Life should be lived in the way that feels most comfortable to you. I don't want to better myself, and I don't want to grow. I don't need to be liked by a lot of people, and I don't need anyone else's approval. I don't want to be a successful person in other people's eyes, and I don't need to have a successful career or a happy marriage. I just want to eat well, sleep well, and do the things I enjoy. I looked at the messages Gu Qing and the others had sent me on my phone. I've decided to meet them one last time, because I'm about to lie flat and become a shut-in. If any of them are willing to chip in and support me a little, that would be even better. I've put up with so much in my marriage to Gu Qinghe. I figured asking for a little emotional compensation wasn't too much, was it? 27. I rode home on my newly bought little electric scooter. As soon as I walked in, I saw 3 people standing together, staring at me intently. Time seemed to stand still. In just 1 second, Song Zhe came running toward me with tears flying everywhere, trying to throw his arms around me, just like the little teddy bear at his place. I really wanted to kick him flying, but I held it in. Gu Qinghe forced out a smile, the sort of ingratiating look someone might wear when trying to win sympathy after selling themselves to bury their father. You're back. How are you feeling? Liang Su got straight to the point. Lin Juexie, we all know about your condition now. Whatever wish you have, I'll spare no expense to make it happen. I have a suggestion, not to pressure you, of course, just a suggestion. You could choose to get treatment first. I can contact hospitals in the US. A few people crowded around me and started chattering about my illness. I want to stay by your side forever. Please, I'm begging you, let me stay with you. Juexie, do whatever you want, just don't give up hope in life. Song Zhe was the most dramatic of them all, crying as he spoke. When his whole body shook, the metal studs on his leather jacket clinked and rattled. I quickly held out my hand to stop them. Stop, let me say one thing first. This is a misdiagnosis. After I said it out loud, all I saw was the room suddenly go quiet. Tears from Song Zhe dripped onto the floor. He was crying so hard he even had snot bubbles. Then he looked at me in stunned silence with his mouth hanging open. Gu Qinghe opened his mouth, his phoenix eyes hollow and vacant. This was the most convincingly he had ever played the fool. After a moment, Liang Su spoke in a restrained voice, though his tone left no room for doubt. Now, let's go to the hospital for a checkup. Seeming to sense that his tone was too forceful, Liang Su added, is that okay? I flashed the outpatient form from a top-tier public hospital. I'm really fine. Gu Qinghe was quick handed and snatched it away in a flash. He stared unblinkingly, carefully going through the report, and Song Zhe leaned in too. It wasn't until they turned to the last page and saw that I really was fine that they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Song Zhe burst out laughing through his tears, and that grin restored his usual foolish swagger. You scared me half to death. You really did. Thank goodness you're okay. Then he lunged at me again and hugged me. Liang Su grabbed him by the back of the neck in one swift motion. didn't we agree that before doing anything, we'd listen to Lin Juexiao's opinion first? Gu Qinghe's gentle voice rang out again, and that pretentious air returned once more. Song Zhe wiped his face in a fluster, then forced out a flattering, ingratiating smile. Right, Lin Juexia, we've all agreed, we won't force you anymore, and from now on, we'll respect your wishes. I looked up and saw the three of them all gazing at me with solemn expressions. I said cautiously. Then I think I want a divorce first. Gu Qinghe's expression stiffened. Just as he was about to say something to salvage the situation, Liang Su's gaze turned cold and shifted toward him. Gu Qinghe managed a strained smile. I want to move out and live on my own. I want to do the things I actually enjoy. Sure, have you found a place yet? I happen to know of some pretty good properties. If there's anything you want to do, I might know some people who could help, Liang Su said, but... After only a few words, he quickly realized he was starting to take over again, so he stopped himself. Song Zhe covered his mouth, his almond-shaped eyes darting around, as if he were lost in thought. After I explained my thoughts, I got the divorce agreement signed by Gu Qinghe. Actually, Gu Qinghe had been dragging his feet and refusing to sign all along. In the end, it was Song Zhe who held down his hand and made him sign it. I wiped the sweat from my brow. The way these three were staring at me felt like a spider web, and I was about to be wrapped up in it. I honestly have no idea what's wrong with those three, but I really wish they'd just leave me alone. I still want to go back and tend my crops in the game. 28, 3 months after being misdiagnosed with cancer, the cooling off period was over, and I divorced Gu Qinghe. I moved into another nice, clean house. Damn it, the first week after moving in, the upstairs and downstairs units were both bought by someone. By the second week, I saw Song Zhe walking his dog on a leash in the neighborhood garden. This time he said he was living downstairs from me. Every day he had a nutritionist make food for me, then pretended it was takeout and had it delivered to my place. Liang Su lives upstairs from me, and he's so quiet it's almost like he doesn't exist. He just transfers money into my account on time every month, saying it's my share of the dividends. Lately, I've gotten hooked on an online game, and Gu Qinghe became its spokesperson. I was grinding mobs in the newbie village when the server Big Shot showed up beside me wearing a flashy, over-the-top costume. Gu Qinghe even learned the game just to come over and keep me company while I played. It feels like each of them is trying to be kind to me without disturbing the life I already had. Just a lovely extra touch to the life I've always wanted. Maybe they won't be this kind to me again in the future, but none of that matters anymore, because I've already found my core, that is, to become myself. The end.